What do you make of this man?
I'm hugely impressed. I feel really honoured and privileged to be here because I think what we're witnessing actually is the coming to fruition, the coming to maturity. I think John's like a wine that has been maturing for decades, and has been producing wonderful art down at the end of the Beara Peninsula in County Cork.
So this work is done almost at the end of the earth, away at the end of the edge of the Beara Peninsula.
Yeah, just about as far west as you can go in Ireland, and I think John. It's interesting to me that John has started his life in Exeter and has made this a series of moves further west, starting with Cornwall and ending up with the Beara Peninsula.
There's a lot of resonances of the world of nature in his work.
There is. You have to spend time with these pictures. They don't reveal all their secrets at a first glance. I find this, I've seen several hundred of these pictures, and I've taken photographs of them, and I've had to go back, look again, and it sounds like a truism, but you do see more the more that you look. And at first sight, one thinks abstract painter, but there's nothing could be further from the truth. It is very, very firmly rooted in actually where he is located in Ireland and what surrounds him, what he sees, but also in his experiences and his memories. Those actually are very much live memories, and he carries those with him. And there is a lot of soul in these pictures.
It's almost as though the paintings create a meditative space.
They do, yes. I think John in many ways is reinventing landscape. I think what he's doing with landscape in particular has virtually probably got no parallels in contemporary art at all, because the paint is actually very layered, it's very thick, it's very textured, and it actually looks as if it has been created out of the same stuff as the landscape. And when you look at them, you have this. It's because these are fresh paintings. You can smell the oil paint. You want to touch the surfaces. It's a bit frustrating because a lot of them are behind glass. And then, of course, you have got the delight of the eye because his colours are magical. He really is a master colourist.
This great vibrancy, this great use of paint, this lack of fear in attacking the canvas. This, of course, isn't new in the world of art and the history of art. Great painters have done it before him.
They have, but I wouldn't underestimate the amount of control that is exercised in these pictures, because John's experience is considerable. He's been painting for many decades, and indeed he works on some of his pictures for up to 20 years, They will live in the studio with him. They almost become members of the family, and he will go back to them almost sort of. He was a gardener in his, before he became a painter, and I think in the same way that he tended plants and tended children when he worked in Rudolf Steiner homes, he's tending these pictures. He's nurturing them. He's going back to them, perfecting them, and so I think what you do see, I think in this exhibition, is very much like a good wine. And it does make me think of some of the great artists like Rembrandt, who actually produced, and Van Gogh is another one, who produced their best work in their most mature years. I think so. Actually, this show encapsulates John Kingerlee, I think, at a very, very interesting point in his career.
And the paintings, of course, are, if you like, time capsules, because a man can't spend 20 years on a painting without that painting reflecting the moods and the seasons of his life.
Absolutely. If you look at the heads, that is the other sort of main category of his work. These single heads, often quite ghostly figures, often small. These pictures aren't large. They don't. They're not sort of mega statements. He's not showing off like some painters would. They're on a small scale, but they're very intense, very, very powerful. And even the ones that are just 4 by 5 inches across have got this immense pull. You can see them 30, 40 feet away, and they draw you towards them. It's quite remarkable. And yes, he does carry this, I think, this burden of memory. You know, he has seen the seamier side of life. He's lived in bedsits in London and in other places. He's travelled a lot. He knows that side of life. He's seen the graffiti on the underground, and that has inspired him a lot, I think. And you know, he loves playing with symbols, with signs, with in his own art, and that is part of the process of revelation, of actually trying to get to grips with the art. You detect these signs through the paint layer, and you see more in them the more you look at them.
Are we perhaps standing in the ante-room to artistic greatness? Is there something happening here that's going to take us and demand our attention for generations to come?
That would be my take. I feel that very strongly, and it's not a sensation that you get very often in the art world, I have to say. And when you see it, it's intensely rewarding and intensely exciting, and I really think, you know, this is a major event in the art world in Ireland, and I would admonish the Ulster Museum, the National Gallery of Ireland, to visit this exhibition, because there are paintings here that should be sitting on the walls of our museums. I have no doubt about that whatsoever.
And he's not a flash in the pan. He's a most prolific artist.
I think he knows his worth, but he's an extremely modest man. One of the most modest men I've ever had the privilege of meeting, and that is a very rare thing to come across in the art world. Because I think in the final analysis, John is an artist who paints for an audience of one. He paints to satisfy himself. If he can't do that, he'd throw away his brushes. So, you know, they are. I think you are looking at very finished statements, very resolved statements, and I think the fact that he's allowed them out into the world actually is something that we should sit up and take notice about.
Jonathan Benington, thank you very much indeed.